Hola, this is WIllie, not CM Punk. Welcome to another classic modern film review. So last time I did a German foreign review and I thought, maybe I should do another foreign review. Hey, did you know Mexicans do movies? And if you didn't, here's one example for you. Voces Inocentes.
Qué triste se oye la lluvia.
Voces Inocentes, which means innocent voices, is based from a 1980s civil war in El Salvador. During the 1930s, a new form of government would take shape into a dictatorship in El Salvador, killing tens of thousands of indigenous and political opponents. With the help of the US by funding the Salvadorian army, this government would remain in power for decades while killing, abusing, and raping the peasant people. The abuse of human rights would build an emotion of frustration on the peasant people, which would lead to a protest against their own government. One of their most influential protesters was the Archbishop from San Salvador, Oscar Romero, who was known for publicly criticizing the inhumane actions of his state and pleaded to US President Carter at that time to stop helping the Salvadorian army. But in March of 1980, he would be killed during mass by the army and would result in the formation of the rebel group called the FMLN, funded by communist states against the Salvadorian government for almost 12 years, which would result with the lost lives of 70,000 people. In my opinion, this is a great achievement for the Mexican cinema that tells what was the expected life to be when living in a violent atmosphere. This tells the struggle of a boy named Chava, played by Carlos Padilla, who witnesses all the horrors the army caused to his village day after day, night after night, from seeing people get shot to friends from school being kidnapped by the army to train them as soldiers at age of 12. Knowing that his end will be in the army when he turns 12, he leaves his family and joins the rebel guerrilla so he can have a chance for one day reunite with his family once more. What I got from this film, it was that it was not trying to tell a story about people, but it was trying to tell a story about a telling message. What I mean by that is they were not trying to make memorable characters with famous catchphrases such as the Star Wars or the Wizard of Oz, etc. But they were telling an event in history that is not very known for the majority. Even though it does not go into the historical context, it does give an educational lesson. Now, that doesn't mean the actors were just the background. They do a very good job bringing the charm and emotion to what it was happening, like Chava's protective mother, played by Leonor Valera, who surprisingly was in Blade 2. And also Skeletor shows up. Too bad Nacho Libre was injured to make a cameo. What I love about this movie is how they used the child's point of view of a serious matter, and they did it right. All I could think while watching this movie was comparing it with To Kill a Mockingbird and saying, this is how you do a child's point of view. The movie is completely focused on the present situation and does not add any subplot, which I thought perfect. By far, this has been the best traumatic view from a younger age I have seen so far. The movie is narrated and focused about Chava, who we see his experience and how he feels of the matter. We hear his thoughts about it, we see him witness all the killings and oppression, we see him lose his friends one by one, and we see him experience first love just so that he can be taken away. It made the story more effective and more powerful to see a kid that was trying to live a normal childhood, but it was interrupted by the injustices of life, and this is what this movie is all about. It was trying to tell the side of the innocent people who suffer many injustices, particularly for no good reason, and just how many children were robbed from their innocence and forced to grow up fast and quick to survive the hardship or become corrupted at a young age. The violent scenes are dramatized to the point that I have heard this movie is almost manipulative. Well, this is something based out of a true story, and it's not told by a fictional character. This has been told by someone who lived a real traumatic experience from a young age that could scar any kid for life, maybe even mess him up. He deals with parenthood abandonment, fear every night for his life, and fear to end up in the army where they will brainwash him to kill his friends and family just like some of his school friends have. So I believe this movie earned the right to be dramatic since this is something many are not familiar with. Though Chava's an interesting character in the movie, he can be at times a little bit annoying for making reckless actions that can put other people's lives in danger, but that doesn't mean he's terrible. He's only trying to help, but probably the reason it could be bothering, like it was for me, is because he's still just a kid, but he's trying to act like a grown-up adult. Joining either side of the cause was a no-win situation, since they would have to live childhood aside and learn to survive through violence. It depicts the tragic tale of how much pain war causes and how much innocence is taken away, to the point of growing up knowing that the world is completely cruel and there is no love or beauty in it. This is a very interesting story that touches on serious topics such as child kidnap, war, etc. But I do not think many will be aware of this event in history. Even I did not know about the civil war in El Salvador, since it's been kept into obscurity for a lot of us. Voces Inocentes is a great Mexican film that has probably the only accurate story about El Salvador events, with great acting and colorful characters that can bring the agony and pain that are going through, but other times the joy and funny moments. The cinematography is great. As you should know, most of the Mexican directors are obsessed with cinematography, and it reveals how even the smallest of the unknown places of the earth need help to return them back the peace that was unrightfully taken. I give it an 8 out of 10 stars. So hopefully more videos might come up next week. So for now, that's it for today. Ciao.